Hey, a pleasant good day, everybody. This is the next edition of the JB and Steel Show as we are here joined in the 16th edition, I believe it is now, of the JB and Steel Show as we're going to recap the West and do their round out the season reports for the NHL. And maybe if we have the time in the end, if not, we're included because opening day will start and we'll have more baseball to talk about next week anyway, and not the preseason that's kind of meaningless other than getting guys ready. So we'll see if we have time to talk about that there. But anyway, Steele, how are you doing?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I am ready to go, man. I'm ready to talk about the West for the NHL. I'm ready to talk about the West for the NBA. It's starting to heat up now. Thanks for all you do, man. I'm telling you, listen, folks, you guys need to be checking out Joe. He is the beat writer for the Reading Royals. He also covers the Phantoms for Flyers Nitty Gritty. So you got to be checking him out, man. You got to be following him on Twitter. He's got his own channel on YouTube, and you also check him out on SteelFlyers. So thanks for all you do, Joe. Really appreciate all the hard work, man. I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go for the 16th edition of the JB and Steel Show?
And I think last show, we'll work back and go from the teams that are now with the West, though. I do think we have to include an extra team that's not technically in the wild card race right now because the tie points wise, or 1 point behind, but tied in row, I should say, with Vegas. First, I'll ask you, Vegas or Dallas? You had to pick right now who's making that final wild card spot.
Gosh, man, I would like to say Vegas because I think they're going to potentially get some of their guys back. Okay.
I would like to say Vegas, but to me, they're one of the most, if I went into the season, they might be one.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Yeah. See, now to be honest with you, I think Dallas has been playing better as of late. I mean, Vegas and Dallas both 7-3 in their last last 10.
Their last game where Vegas has won the last 5, so it's like
right.
They had, I forget who Dallas lost to last game, but I think it was a tight game. So I'm sure
it was right. Okay, so either way you slice it, okay, they're 1 point back of each other, but Dallas has 3 games in hand.
Yeah, which helps them a lot.
Okay, and Dallas has been winning those games in hand of late. I mean, obviously the one they lost the other night, whatever, but they've been winning those games as of late. And where Vegas has not necessarily been winning some of those games as of late. Yeah, they're both 7-3, and I get it, but Vegas had a bit of a downturn there before they went on their 7-3 run for their last 10. But Dallas or Vegas. Like I said, I want to say Vegas, but I really think that Dallas.
Yeah, I think there's a better shot just because Leonard to me has been too inconsistent this year, and I love Rob Leonard. He's a guy that I love how open he is about all the crap he's through. Appreciate that side of it, but as a player this year, he hasn't been as consistent as some of his time.
Exactly.
And that's if he can get that back, that'll help a tenfold. But I honestly think Ottinger is the better goalie than anybody that Vegas has.
See, that's why I'm going. That's why I would. That's exactly why I would love to say Vegas, but I'd have to go with Dallas because of exactly what you said, Pro Joe, that's because of Ottinger. And I think the goaltending for Dallas is a little bit better than the goaltending, in Vegas. So I'm with you on that. I'd like to say Vegas, but I'm going to go with Dallas to make it as the second wild card.
Yeah. Well, that was easy because we killed 2 birds in one stone. Literally, we talk about 2 teams. So move on to Nashville. The Nashville Predators are in first place in the wild card race right now, as the Predators are in row at 37, with Vegas and Dallas again being at 35. Points are both 82, with their winning percentage, though, because Nashville has game at hands, too. The same was at 68, They have a 603 to Vegas' 577.
Yeah.
So the Nashville Predators, I think their team – I've heard different people just from watching different things, how I like to pay attention to different podcasts, kind of say they don't like how John Hines has played this year. I think they kind of had to play the aggressive style they played this year. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the wild card. Like, this team is – people are used to seeing Nashville be more conservative. That now that they're a little bit more aggressive, a lot of people don't like change, and it takes them a while to adjust to it. that they're like, oh my god, what the hell is this? Like, so
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah.
Where with the Predators, I think it works because Johansson's having the best season in forever. Duchesne, say what you want about him, he's still having the best season in forever.
I agree.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Tolvanen's been better this year, starting to get going, and then Mikael Granlund's having a great season. And then their third line is ridiculous with Jeannot, Trennan, and Sissons. Like, the thing with Nashville that's scary is their four lines actually all have skill combined with the fact that they have the defensive ability. And that's also why they can play so aggressive, because they have the Johanssons on the team. They have the Granlunds, the Cunnins, who are great defensively, and then the Sissons, who are great defensively, on their team. And then the Karens, who will knock you 7 feet behind where you would just stand. So I think they have a good mix of talent. Their defense, with a couple guys because of injuries, leaves some stuff to be desired. But if guys like Borecki and Dante Fabro come back, then that supplants that. And UC Soros is a Vezina Academy. So their goaltending's great. I think Nashville doesn't have a great chance at the Cup, but do I think they have a chance to win in the first round? Yeah.
Well, it depends. If it stops today, right, they would face Minnesota.
Right? And I don't think Minnesota is significantly better than Nashville, honestly. I just think Minnesota plays a style.
Well, here's the thing I think about with Nashville. Yeah, I'm with you.
But I think both teams are filler rosters where they don't have, like, Nashville, you look at a couple guys like the Forsbergs, the Duchesnes that are above it.
More offense.
Like the Ekman, or not the Ekman, the Eriksson X, the Kaprizovs, and then there's everybody else, the Spurgeons, and then there's everybody else. It's kind of like the three-headed monsters and then everybody else. That's why I think they're kind of a pretty comparable stance.
I would still take Minnesota over Nashville.
Fleury is a much more experienced goaltender than, and I think the separation. If they didn't have Fleury, Talbot's been inconsistent in his postseason career. So
right.
Agreed. Minnesota over Nashville per se. I thought that could have, like, if that becomes a series, I think that could be a 7-game series because I think those two teams actually match up fairly well.
I agree with you, but I still think Minnesota would take that.
Potential depends on goaltending.
See, that's why I would have to give the edge. I think, although Nashville goaltending, yeah, but all right. So here's my little take on Nashville.
Just kill two teams in one stone. Again, now we don't talk about Minnesota when we get up there.
Right. Okay. So I do think that they match up comparatively. They both are at 68 games. Minnesota has a couple more wins. Okay, and their goal differential is much different. Okay, so Minnesota has much more offense. Okay, and although I think Nashville's defense has stepped up this year, especially after the moves they made with the trade deadline, as well too. So Nashville bolstered, but here's the thing that's kind of really stepping out here on me, right? Nashville's away record 18-14-4.
Yeah, they would have to step up. But the other thing is the playoffs usually bring a different game. First of all, the game isn't even the same in the playoffs. They throw it back to about 20 years ago.
I agree.
Letting stuff go more than they ever do in the regular season. So
agreed.
I think Nashville with Minnesota both have the big boys that can do that. But Nashville, I would say, might be the better defensive team, where Minnesota by the better offense.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. Right.
So, but in the postseason, I think sometimes you can win a round, especially the first round, based on defense, 3 goals a game, as long as UC Soros is still the UC Soros of this season. So.
See, that was the other part I was going to get to as well too. So the home record for Minnesota 24-7-2, right? Their away record is 19-13-3. Not that much better than what Nashville's away record is, 18-14-4. So this is going to be predicated specifically on a home ice advantage. And that one extra home game, believe it or not, I think is going to be the difference, especially in a series between Nashville and Minnesota.
Who both have the packed arenas.
That's what I mean. Then they both have really good records at home. Minnesota's a much better record at home, and they have more offense. And I think that's going to be the better. And they have the same type of team that they can bang bodies and match and still score and still play some good defense and still have good goaltending.
Yeah, okay, I can jive with that. I mean, I think it'll be if I had to predict that, though, when we did do it that show, I think I would probably still say it would be a 7-game series.
Oh, yeah, I would say 7 easy. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a knuckle-dragging not knuckle-dragging, I'm sorry, a down-and-out knuckle-to-knuckle. I mean, that's going to be breaking it out right there, man. That's going to be a tough series of games because both of those teams play a very physical game.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these teams, if you look at the West, that's the one thing about the West. There is a lot of weird differential records. Like the next team we'll get to, the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers, who are in third place, absolutely fantastic at home. 23-12. Put them on the road, not so much.
Right, yeah.
5, where they have a .607 percentage. Leon Draisaitl just got to his 50th, but apparently he's banged up. So what are they going to do with him moving forward and round out the season? Are they going to rest him to make sure they have him at full percent, or are they going to keep pushing to see if they can get up from second or third, second, and then potentially? What do they
need? They need to keep pushing, man, because Nashville's pushing, and so is Vegas, and so is Dallas. Yeah. Right, and they're not that far back. Nashville is 82, Vegas is 82. You understand what I'm saying? So I think they need to keep.
I settle though, because they're not going anywhere. Because the problem with McDavid is he sucks defensively.
Right.
Like how good he is offensively is how bad he is defensively. So, like he needs to, and that's not really a dig at him. That's a do what Ovechkin did with Barry Trotz and wake up and realize you have to do that in order to win the cup. That's all it is. It's not a dig at McDavid. Like McDavid's one of the better guys to watch in the game, one of the most fun guys to watch in the game offensively. But exactly. I don't actually think he's the best overall player on Edmonton. If I had to say who the best overall player on Edmonton was, it would be the guy that reminds me of Draisaitl, or not Draisaitl. It reminds me of Kopitar, which is Draisaitl, with how he should win Selkies. Where that's but when you score 50 and you're that good defensively, that brings a whole different component because you're almost as good as Connor offensively, plus you're that good defensively. If Connor is a C+ level player defensively with that offense, he is one of the better two-way players in the league just because of how good he is offensively. But
couldn't agree more. And I'll tell you this too: Edmonton isn't even the best offensive team going. Not even in the West all day.
Yeah, they're inconsistent. They're top heavy. They're very top heavy. Their power play has looked better since Nuge has come back.
No, I will say this though.
Underrated Hopkins is.
I will say this though. Ever since Woodcroft has come in as coach, this has been a different Edmonton team.
Yeah, they looked better. They still don't look playoff.
Okay. And I can't even remember where we talked about this. I think we talked about this on one of our shows that we were talking about where we said, look, when Barry Trotz went to Ovechkin and said, look, the only way you're going to be able to hoist the cup is if you play a 200-foot game. And he plays a 200-foot game now, and guess what? He won a cup. And McDavid's going to have to come to that realization too. Hey, look, buddy, you got to play 200 feet, man. That's the only way you're going to hoist a cup. Because otherwise you hang your defenseman out to dry.
It's not even just Draisaitl. One of the reason Nugent Hopkins is also one of the more underrated players is he's great in the faceoff dot and he's very good defensively while being able to produce 50 to say 65 points in a season. So
I'll take
that's a pretty solid commodity there, which that's why Edmonton, if they just filled out Edmonton's failure is filling out the roster. The depth is atrocious.
Because their goaltending is horrible.
Well, their goaltending is I think that was stuck in the fields because Mike Smith was such a great story last year. They never moved on. Yeah. Koskinen actually has stepped up more than ever this year, but Stuart Skinner at this point is better than Mike Smith. Yeah. So it's like, why is Mike Smith? So it's one of those things where I don't even think they have the best two up.
I agree.
So that's kind of where I am at with Edmonton, where that's why I don't think they have much cup aspirations because one, Connor McDavid isn't bought in on defense yet, and two, their goaltending isn't good enough. They would have to have one of those runs like the Flyers where they just have goaltenders step up, like Koskinen kind of has for them this year, where he's kind of the guy that for reasonably so gets a bad rep. at times, but this year actually has played fairly well and has had his best season in the NHL. So
There you go, man. There you go, for sure. All right. So the LA Kings, oh my gosh, we're talking about a California team.
they're bad at home, better on the road.
Actually, they're away for LA Kings. Right?
Yeah, the 26. Yeah, they're great on the road and then forget how to play in whatever.
At home, yeah. So it's like the exact opposite at home. It's like 18, 14, and 4. Like, wait a minute. But oh my gosh, man, 71 games played. They're at a .606 winning percentage with 30 wins.
How Vegas, we said, was one of the more, if you had to rank unimpressive teams, the Kings are one of the more surprise impressive teams of the season because they had guys that were very talented as young commodities.
I agree.
I don't think people thought they were all going to gel this quickly.
I agree.
We're also token, even a guy that a lot of people hate, Brendan Lemieux, it's obvious the Kings like him because otherwise he wouldn't still be playing for the team. So I think those guys sometimes get more of a bad rep just because people are too sensitive nowadays and are not used to seeing that side of hockey.
Here's the thing, though, about LA. They are a working. They work hard. They're a hardworking team. They're gonna test you. They're gonna stretch you. They're gonna make you work for every inch of the ice out there. Okay, and
yeah, they lay on the body better than a lot of
exactly, and that goes to part of what we talked about at the beginning, where the West is a lot physical. A lot. I mean, a lot of these teams that we're talking about, like the Nashvilles and the Kings and the Calgarys and even St. Louis, Minnesota, Colorado, they're all banging bodies, man.
Edmonton, I would say that's something we actually left out with Edmonton. Edmonton definitely could use more, because they have guys that have the size and ability to do it. It's just they're not utilizing that.
Yeah, they're not.
They definitely play a little bit more physical. And so could Vegas in order to not be that. If Vegas committed to, because even though those guys, that's not their first level of play to what they're thinking, but when you have injuries, you have to change.
Yeah.
Just didn't. They kind of just kept going by the same mode, and it's worked all right for them. But Vegas being a second wildcard team this year, that's not really that impressive.
Agreed. So. Yeah, agreed. Now, but with LA though, I think we all kind of had a consensus, and I think we all believed that there was going to be a California team. We weren't really sure if it was going to be Anaheim, maybe, and or LA, maybe potentially San Jose, but more so the Anaheims and the LAs were going to come to the fore. And I think that LA is going to be a good first round for any team.
Agreed. Yeah, because LA, their defense, whoever has come in, whether it's that Jersey kid, Jordan Spence, whoever's come in, they picked up Stretcher, he's filled in fine.
Yeah.
Their concern is having everybody back by the playoffs. Well, not guys that are out for the season, obviously, but like a guy like Michael Anderson, Walker's out for the season, so you're not going to have him back. Doughty's day to day.
Yeah.
So their defense is in shambles right now. But if you can have that back at the right time, Cal Pedersen's been very good. Jonathan Quick's been very good this year. That tandem's been one of the more underrated tandems this year. Yes, they had some ups and downs, but most tandems.
Yeah, but so what though? They still, yeah.
Where you have, when it comes to their offense, their second line, because everybody knows how good Kopitar, Kempe, and I follow. Their second line of Trevor Moore, career year. Victor Arvidsson, not really a career year, but a great year. Philip Deneau, a career year.
Yep.
So, and then you have guys that have more skill than what they showed in the regular season. They just haven't really tapped full into it. And the Velardes, Byfields, Kaparis, the Grundstroms, who's actually been good as a fourth line level, Elias Anderson, and Arthur Kaliyev, where Anderson's brought more into just being better with the faceoffs and defensive end of the puck, since his offense hasn't really been there at all yet in his career. So they have guys that buy into different things. For them as well. So I think that's a sign of this team has a chance to have success. And the big thing for them is if Pedersen does end up being the starter, they have a perfect fallback option of a guy that's won cups.
That's true, which is Jonathan Quick. So, all good. Yeah. Calgary, I got to tell you something, man. This team here has been one of my favorite teams to watch this year. I like watching the games with these guys, and I like watching Markstrom. I mean, he has to be considered in the Vezina conversation, and Calgary looking really good, man. 68 games, 40 wins, 19 losses. They're at a .654. They were in our top 10, or I'm sorry, our top 5 power rankings for the Top Shelf Power Rankings and Off the Wall Hockey Show on Friday. They were in our top 5. So Calgary, one of the better teams out there. And Johnny Gaudreau having a career year. He's probably going to see his first 100-point season, I would have to say. He's at like 92 or 3, something like that. But I'm looking to him to see him as a 100-point season this year for the first time ever. And man, Markstrom has just been the reason why Calgary has been so good as far as I'm concerned, along with their offense, along with their defense, obviously, and the fact that the team has bought into Suter, however you want to call him, has bought into his system and are playing exactly where they need to be playing. So I really like Calgary. In fact, I would like to see Calgary probably over any of the other teams, potentially maybe Calgary, Colorado, that I'd like to see that as the conference final.
Yeah, I think the two, like I said a couple shows ago, I think the 2 C teams in Calgary, Colorado have the best teams right now in my mind. We'll see how that changes the season rounds out. But their defense to offense is just a great component. They also have guys that can bang you around in the postseason that are more valuable.
Exactly.
Season like Milan Lucic. And then you have a Coleman, who's a very valuable player for postseason. The third line is all good postseason guys. You want for Coleman, Dubé.
Exactly.
And Mangiapane, who's one of the more underrated players.
Really liked him too, yeah.
Having a career year defensively. Obviously, he's not going to do anything offensively. That's not Nikita's world. And then Michael Stone is Michael Stone. He's filled in fine for 5 games. And then Chris Tanev is having beyond a career season. Listed for the Calgary Flames this year. So that really helps when you have an undrafted defenseman, which also is why I never understood the flack Chris Tanev got, because he's undrafted. No kidding, he's going to have flaws in his game. Why the heck do you think he was undrafted?
I mean,
that's like when people came at Sanheim, it was kind of the same thing. It's like, I understand what you're coming from because he does make mistakes, but no crap. Otherwise, he would have picked in the first round because he has other things that look really good when he doesn't make mistakes. So, like no kidding. But it took Chris Tanev until about 30 to start figuring out how to not make mistakes, and until 32 to have his best career season. So, I mean, sometimes on drafting guys, different story.
Whatever works, right? Whatever gets it done, whatever gets us to the spot.
Before we start talking about Chris Tanev, the St. Louis Blues. The St. Louis Blues, led by former Flyer Greg Berube, have continued to impress this season, as Brandon Saad, another perfect playoff player, Ryan O'Reilly, Perron, Buznevich, Tomas, one of the better young players, Vladimir Tarasenko, who's back to being Vladimir Tarasenko, Von Borbachev, Jordan Kyrou, Mackenzie McCutcheon, also that young kid that brings some size to the bottom line, has been good in a few games. Then Nathan Walker, whenever he's had to play this year, who's been fantastic for the Thunderbirds in the AHL in his entire career when he's played down there. And then Torchenko's been good since he's come up. This is a team, whenever you have a team that have guys come in and they fit immediately into the mold, that's when you know you're kicking all the right gears that year.
Exactly.
And that's what St. Louis has been the entire season. The only concern with me for St. Louis is Billy Huso doesn't have playoff experience. So how good is Billy Huso going to do in the postseason in his first? And it's nothing against him, because I'm not going to judge him if he has a bad postseason, because it's his first big postseason run. But it's more, this is his first big postseason run. So what is he going to do where Binnington's been there, but Binnington sometimes can't stop a beach ball this season? So there's that. So Binnington sucked against the Flyers. if you are bad against this year's Flyers team, you're not having a good season. You're either having a
all right, I'll buy that.
Having a very bad night, which was not the case with Binnington, it's just a microcosm of what's happened your whole season, which is what it was for Binnington. And I love Jordan Binnington because I love how open he is about all the crap he goes through as well. It's just I'm not going to, because of how great he is as a person, be like, oh, well, he's also a fantastic goaltender, because he's not. He's
not. Yeah, no.
He needs to get that side going. Where Ville Husso, who was off last year, but they stuck by him, saying him and Binner have a great relationship. This is going to be a good goaltending room. That the Blues were spot on about, because they pick each other up. Last year, Binnington picked up Husso. This year, Binnington's having a bad season. Husso's picking up Binnington. So if you're able to continue to do that, then yeah, it is actually a very good goaltender room. It's just you have to continue to have both of the guys kind of have that at the same time, where it's a lot better if you're in a setting like we talked about some other teams where you kind of have two guys that are pretty good, like LA, where Pedersen's been good this year and Quick's been good this year, rather than one that's been good and another that's really been struggling. So.
Exactly. I've been impressed. I've watched a couple of the St. Louis games this year, called one with John from Off the Wall Hockey. We did a St. Louis game, and I believe it was against Minnesota, actually, I think. But really, I mean, Tarasenko has been a huge impact on the team, getting him right, getting him buying in, playing, whatever the case is, whatever they had to do, whatever Kool-Aid they had to give him. I've always loved Craig Berube as a coach. I always felt he was able to get the best out of his players, and I feel that he's doing that now with St. Louis. They're at a plus 44. They have pretty good offense. Their defense is not too bad. Their goaltending has been okay. I mean, I think they're kind of middle of the road when it comes to playoffs. It'll be a good matchup between probably St. Louis and Calgary.
Yeah, I think it's all going to depend on St. Louis's goaltending, because Husso's new to the playoff atmosphere, and has to be sharp. Because Binnington also, I think, is a guy that's similar to a closer in baseball, where it seems like he thrives off of the bright lights and having that extra pressure sometimes that might even help him to snap back into it in the postseason. So we'll have to kind of see as time goes on.
Because if you look at the standings the way it is right now, I mean, we're looking at the wild card the way it is right now. But if you just look at the points, do you know what I mean? Calgary is ahead of St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
So either way, I think that's going to be, depending on how those two teams finish with LA, maybe Edmonton in that mix.
Other than Colorado, the best differential in the NHL, if I'm not mistaken. Florida, Colorado, then Calgary.
Yeah, because Calgary's at plus 67. Colorado's at plus 73. And Florida's at plus 83. And Carolina's at plus 68. So, yeah. Okay.
Okay, they're fourth. But either way, they're top five.
Still, that's what I mean. That's why Calgary's in the top five, right? And St. Louis plus 44 for their differential. So, very middle of the road. Like I said, they're not as blazing offensively. They're not as blazing defensively. They're just one of those teams that just continually works, continually plays well. They have a good home record, 21-9-4, 17-11-6 on the road. So not too terribly bad. But either way, it's like I said, I think these couple of sets of teams here, like once you get past the Colorado, you know what I mean? We've already talked about Minnesota and we've talked about Calgary, but so I think St. Louis, Calgary, that's going to be a pretty nice little matchup right there, I think.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the next team, I'm just going to make this quick. I don't need to say anything about Colorado. Colorado's my cup pick for the West.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree on that one.
There's not like they just formed a juggernaut for people that used to play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
There were people called the Juggernauts in the one game mode that took.
Oh, okay.
That is Colorado.
Yeah. I have no disagreements on that one. I mean, quite honestly, I think
a team to figure out how to be the best they've ever been defensively, how to be the best they've ever been offensively, how to be the best they've ever goaltended in order to beat Colorado. They're probably going to have to do at least two of those three things at once, and maybe all three in order to beat.
Exactly. You know, John and I talked about this on the Off the Wall Hockey Show, that we were talking about how Colorado could probably just take the next 14 games and go 7-7 or whatever, and maybe, you know, and Florida could probably do the same. Do you know what I mean? And so
there's a couple that don't really have to, like Florida would be right now, but the East to me is a little bit closer between Florida and Carolina compared to how I have the West in my head. The Florida would be the favorite in the East, but Carolina's in a very close second, where with the West, it's more Colorado's fate, and then like you got Calgary in a decently close second, but not really. And then you got Minnesota almost even with Calgary, but again, they don't have they're a team that's new to this still, where Calgary's new to this, but is a team that isn't really new to it because they've been close before and had moments that they've kind of fallen short, similar to the Mets in baseball, where now it's kind of their moment like the Mets did this year to get all the guys to stack up and get the guys that really help you. That's what Calgary did, so now it's their time to shine.
Exactly. You know, Colorado it's Colorado and then the rest.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And with it's actually Carolina's fairly close, and then you have Florida. Like, yeah, Carolina just depends how a goaltender that I think it's overblown how much people are picking on him, but Anderson does in the postseason compared to the regular season. That's what the talk is. Is that talk 100% accurate? I don't think so, because some people that just laced on skates 6 days ago can play better defense than the Maple Leafs in most postseason series. So it's like the Maple Leafs drink too much gin and tonic before they go on the ice in the post. So maybe a little bit less party boys before the game and a little bit more actually try to win a playoff series. Like that might be a fair, fun idea for Austin Matthews and the gang up north.
Well, we'll see how that goes. You know what I mean? So there you have it. I mean, I think that we have. So we basically have penciled in Colorado versus Florida.
That's what I have in my head right now. But that's what with the East, it's a close second that it wouldn't surprise me if Carolina got there. Where Colorado getting out early in the playoffs would be a massive upset.
I agree with you on that.
Where Florida getting out early, I think it would be more if Ross. It would be like one of the reasons of like, say, Bob doesn't perform as well as you think, and then Knight's new to the postseason. That's more of those. Well, stuff just happens. That's not the tone you want to use, but like you can't do much about that if you're the rest of the team. If you're playing good defense around them and you're playing solid offensively, and your goalie kind of just like that's the only way I see Florida having issues. Where when it comes to Colorado, with how Kemper's been getting back to slowly but surely building back up, and the fact that they do have faith in Francois, who's been good when healthy. The issue is he's kind of just been a Michael Neuvirth type that has been injured too much. Where if those guys can stay healthy and be good, they're set. It's just about those guys being the best they could be. And we already seen Darcy Kemper rule an entire series for the Arizona Coyotes, who did not have a good defense. So I think he's definitely in a better spot there.
I agree. No. I agree 100%. 100%. So there you go, folks. Colorado versus Florida. We haven't penciled in.
Yeah. Like I said, next week, because I'm not big on talking about the preseason. I just like how it affects roster spots. Like, for example, congratulations to Nicky Moniak for making the Phillies roster, a guy that it seems like Kevin Long has finally figured out at the major league level, has been impressive at times at the minor league level with the Pigs. Now it seems like he's getting figured out in the preseason. We'll see how that carries into. But he has the big thing is he has the right mindset going forward now. Journaling has helped him, so that's good. Where I think that's kind of the meaning of the preseason to me. It's getting everybody loose, getting everybody going, finding yourself for the regular season, and then shooting it and firing. That's why talking about the preseason in deep context to me has no merit, because it's more just get these guys fine-tuned, and then the regular season, you're not judging a guy if he had 450 in the preseason if he's hitting 210 7 weeks into the season. You're not going, well, he hit 450 in the preseason, so he'll get back. But like, that's usually not the lingo you're going to be seeing from fans. And if it is, more power to that person, because I've never seen many people react like that. So like, that's more why I don't jump on preseason talk that much. So we'll talk about the season next week, because we already have games kicking.
Yep.
And that'll be when the season starts. And then we'll have like kind of a full dive into the MLB and the opening weekend and all that yada.
I think we should just do straight MLB next.
Baseball. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Next week we'll just do baseball. We just covered hockey with the East and West. We had the same idea. Great minds think alike. And then we'll do that. And then the following week, I think we might just do basketball for you guys, because that playoff starts pre-hockey. And then we can kind of get a full encompassing quick playoff, like before the playoffs, when we know, since teams change since we kind of talked about the NBA too, like the seeding and all that hubba bubba change. We'll have like a final one that we do pre-postseason, I think. And that will be not next week, not episode 17, but I think that will be a good one for 18, where we kind of just cover basketball and go about previewing that. And that one will probably be a little bit shorter, but I think those short and sweet sometimes hits the race at times as well. But this has been episode 16 of JB and Steel. You can find Steel at SteelFlyers52 on Twitter, plus the wonderful SteelFlyers.com, where we have covered games, especially Steel, live on site for the Flyers, and also some of his information on FlyersNittyGritty.com, where all of the wonderful writers like Connor, myself, Sam, as well as Lance, cover games all around for them as well.
Yeah, man.
And then is there anything else you want to share out, Steel?
Yeah, man. Just make sure you check out Joe and all his great stuff that he does for the Reading Royals. He is the beat writer for them. He also fills in and does color commentating and does some other great things down there for Reading. So be sure to check out all his great articles and all his great stuff that he does. You can find him on all the great places out there. You can get all your Reading Royals information from. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe and follow us and let us know what you guys think, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll be doing that on Wednesday too, the color commentating, because Pat.
Awesome.
I'll be on that on Wednesday on our.
There you go. Should have him come in. Have him come on the show sometime, man.
Eric, I'll be able to get on. Pat's retired, so I think he's just going to go enjoy time in Carolina. So,
okay. Well, like I said, man, by all means, have him on.
If he wants to come on, sure, but I'm not going to bother somebody in retirement.
No. I mean, the other guy.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But anyway, everybody, you can follow me at JJBork26 on Twitter. You can try to message me on Facebook and Instagram. There's no promises that you're hearing back from me anytime in the near future. So Twitter is probably your best bet. And then you can also find me at Steel Flyers, at Flyers Nitty Gritty, and also at Sports Fanatic News, where I'm going to be doing division previews because it's easier. I'm not talking about each team individually in baseball. That takes too long. I realize that I'm doing division preview for each thing that will be coming out soon, because the season kicks off on Friday. I want to say Friday, but is it Thursday or Friday?
Thursday.
I think it's
Thursday is the 7th, right? Yeah, that's the first games.
Thursday.
So yeah, there you go. Cool.
It's the Phillies play Friday. That's what it is. The Phillies kick off the 8th. The season kicks off.
So we see where your priorities are, right?
Well, yeah, because I'm pissed at baseball still. I'm probably not going to watch many other teams other than my second team, that are the Red Sox. Like, you're not going to find me watching it. I have a very Mark Farzetta, if people watch Farzetta's show, mindset on baseball this year. I watch the teams I really like and care about because I like guys on the team, but you're not going to find me watching some random Monday night baseball game because I'm still pissed at Manfred and pissed at the league for how this happened.
Yeah, that didn't go down too well there, and that whole thing didn't work out real nicely for everybody involved. And yeah, I'm with you on that one. So,
but anyway,
man,
before we get in trouble with baseball, let's end this one up and wrap this one up. This has been the 16th edition of the JB and Steel Show, where we recap the Western playoffs for the NHL. That is Steel Flyers. I'm Joe Boric. Have a safe day, everybody, and enjoy the hockey.